Hello and welcome back to Book Connections, everybody. I'm Kristen,
I'm Elaine.
and today we are going to be talking about the third book in the series of Emily Wilde's um, just Face series by Heather Fawcett. This one is called The Compendium of Lost Tales. So I think this is going to be the last one, but I'm not sure because depending on the ending, I mean, it could be still open to another one, but we'll see what Heather comes out with.
Yeah, that's what I have. One thing I wanted to hear your perspective on is if you thought it was going to be a continuation of their adventures or possibly a spin-off. Because I thought
Yeah,
of her niece.
yeah, I know. And I did think about her niece too, when they came to visit uh in Ireland to help
Mm-hmm.
out, and then we didn't see them again. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I kind of wished we had seen them some more. So yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, because it just felt like that was one of the loops that I feel like everything else was tied up in the book, but that was kind of left loose because it was like obviously they were going off on their adventures, and then her niece is getting trained and starting her adventure, so that would be interesting.
Yes, yeah. To give like I guess an overview so people know a little bit what we're talking about. Um, in the first and second book, obviously you meet Emily and she is a scholar. She's studying the fair folk, the good neighbors, the fairies, and she goes to Lochland, I think is how you pronounce it, but I could be completely wrong. And it's just this very icy place, probably in the Arctic somewhere. And her coworker comes along eventually, and like throughout the entire series, you get to learn that he's a fairy king, actually. And then they get married. She helps him recover his kingdom and go to find it. And then that's kind of like where the third book picks up, is after they find it they then have to secure the throne, and then they have to fight off this disease because of his stepmother's poisoning the kingdom with her death. So they have to fight off that disease and then deal with her the whole time. So that's kind of what it's like about a little bit. But Elaine, I would love to know, like, how did you like it overall? Did you feel like this was as good as the first and second one?
I do, and I do like that after reading this one, I actually started to go back and re-listen, and I just saw the web a little easier that was woven,
Yeah.
and how they all kind of tie into each other and like that setup for the other books. You can see it easier now in hindsight or like foresight, I guess. And it just I do like it. I feel like it kept to the characters. They're I also think that they balance each other. Wendell and Emily balance each
Yeah.
other out really well. And I do like that they're because that was kind of the running theme too, where the fair folk aren't human, basically, and
Mm-hmm.
they do fair folk things. And I feel like in one of the books, I think it was the second book, where they mentioned like, oh, well, fair folk need humans, and it's kind of like to balance them out. And I
Yeah.
just thought that it was nice that Wendell and Emily were a good balance of each other, and even like his extremeness when he would go like into his swordsman aggression, of protection. But it was always he always did it out of protection, which I mean, uh, it's just interesting because it was like her bringing him back, kind of,
Yeah.
and balancing him out. So I enjoyed the series, and I am thankful for the recommendation, even though you were nervous.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just glad you like it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's such a beautiful balance, Emily and Wendell, and I just love how she's so um protective of him with her smarts. Like
Mm-hmm.
she just charges off into doing whatever because she knows what the right thing to do is and really listens to her intuition. and then he protects her with like his magic and trying to do everything else. So it's just such a cute balance seeing like how they each do it together. Um,
Hmm.
and I really liked it. I so back circling back to the Ariadne. I think that may be
Yeah,
how we
that's how.
pronounce it.
Yeah, Denise's
Mhm.
name, right?
Yeah. So in that, when she comes to, so in this book, Emily does go to Fairy with Wendell, and when they secure the throne, everything's like dying off because of the stepmother's disease. You meet some other characters kind of along the way who I really distrusted because I was so nervous
Hmm.
that they were going to be part of the downfall of Emily and Wendell. And it turned out they weren't. They were really great characters.
Yeah.
And so after you meet them, with all the trouble that's going on, Emily's like, I need to find an answer. So she goes to Ireland, to one of the universities to look through their folklore books so she can read and try to find some answers to help Wendell. And the story that they did find, it was really cool to see how it matched up. And it
Yeah.
made me laugh that she had missed the footnotes
Hmm.
on one of them. And that if she had just read the footnotes, it could have saved so much trouble. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's such a me thing to do because even while reading these, I would like skip the footnotes. And then when I got to that part, I was like, oh, fine. So I had to go back and read them.
Yeah.
But yeah, when her niece comes with her other professor coworker,
Hmm.
I really thought we would see them again, like at least to see them give an opinion or something on the lore or to have found an answer. And we didn't, but I think it is cool how she's studying with Ferris. And
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if she's going to end up going to an Ireland university to because she wants to specialize in the Irish fairies. So I am curious if they're going to do that. But I would like to see kind of like you said a spin-off of just them.
Yeah, because that's what I thought when they were wrapping up the book, that it would be more, because obviously they were going on their adventures, and she definitely has plans of writing more of her, Emily documenting more for her dryology. Is it the how
Yeah, Dryadology, I think.
dryadology?
Mhm.
Um, and so, she's very tenacious and ready to go. And I think her niece is definitely like coming up in those footsteps. So,
Yeah.
and they also do mention the other professors. So it is interesting because they mentioned them. So I definitely thought like there is potential for a spinoff.
Hmm.
And not to focus on Emily and Wendell, but it definitely does seem like they may be up to getting into adventures and trouble. And um I also like that their balance of each other, and that Emily always mentally uh yeah, why am I struggling with words? Mentally goes through and finds the answers with going and researching, and where
Yeah.
Wendell is kind of like, of course you'll find the answer, Emily.
Yeah.
I trust you. And he's more of the I'm just gonna trust the process and it will
Yeah.
work out. And even with how he he was the king for a little bit until his mom or his stepmother overthrew him. And even then he was like, I was just a baby and I didn't really do anything. So he definitely is leaning hard on Emily to help organize and help his kingdom flourish. I can't talk today.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And I love that she's playing such a good part in it too, and how throughout the book she really does do things for the best for the kingdom.
Hmm.
And she's not just like, I love that she also sticks to her research too. So she's still like writing notes because she still wants to publish books. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad that Heather didn't leave that part of her out.
Yeah.
So I loved that too. Hmm.
Oh, did you like it was still closed door romance, but a little
Right.
more out there? Were you happier with this book, or um
I mean, I'm used to like some pretty smutty
smutty things?
books. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen it just because that's what I'm used to, but I still
Mhm.
really enjoyed it. Like,
Mhm.
it didn't, detract at all from the book for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed I didn't even think about it, like, the trees that have all
Mhm.
the, like,
The
bloody
eyeballs and
eyeballs and stuff. I didn't
yeah.
even notice the
The
cover of the
creepy
book.
trees.
Yeah.
Oh,
Has all the
okay.
eyes on it. That's so funny. Yeah. I also
That's fun.
loved his cat and,
Yes.
like, how his cat acts like a very real cat and just, like, slices people up for no reason.
Yeah, and definitely holding grudges. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Well, with Shadow, did you like that that they were able to work out something because they were heavily on the aging part and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh no, don't do anything to
I
Shadow,
know.
please. I can't handle
I know. It
it."
was enough that, like, Wendell died, right?
Yeah, well, I
Because
was going to ask you if you raged at that part cuz I would.
yes, yeah. Because I was like, "Okay, so maybe they're gonna, like" I don't know, I got kinda nervous, so I had to, like, skip ahead.
Mhm.
Um,
Uh-oh.
well, not yet. So, actually what happened was I saw that the my birthday is January 23rd, and I
Mhm.
saw that, like, I was on January 19th, so I was like, "Oh, I wonder what she wrote on my birthday," so I skipped
Mhm.
ahead a few chapters, and then it was, like, I think it was the February 1st, or I don't know, it was something where Wendell was coming back to life,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, it's good to know ahead of time that he dies so I don't cry about it." And then the whole
Uh,
time they keep talking about, like, the dog Shadow is, like, getting
mhm.
older and he's not moving around, and I was like, "If you destroy 2 of the best characters, I'm gonna be so upset." So thankfully he was okay.
Yeah.
Um, and it was nice that Wendell came up with a power word that helped, like, take care of him and make him better, because it
Yeah.
gives Emily some control over helping him to get better too. So,
Yeah.
I think that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think that was a because it was very sweet because I feel like he's definitely very doting on her, whereas like
Yeah, I
they're
love
different.
it.
Like she loves him, you could see it by her actions, but like his are actually like their love language is different and they balance each other out on that and just how I also like that he gave her the ability to come and go from Fairy and it wasn't like
Yeah,
just she was stuck there, you know,
yeah.
and that she had the ability even though he was worried sick about her and writing her letters.
Uh-huh. I know, I
So,
really loved it. I loved that he, like, took because he's so romantic and he just
mhm,
does everything he can for her because he's just obsessed with her. And I loved that he actually thought about her needs so much to the point that he got her that little cottage in the mortal
mhm,
world so she could still go back to the mortal world and
mhm.
be immortal while she gets used to everything. And he invited her friends there to come vacation so she could see them and have some fun on her own. And yeah, I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah, that was really sweet. Oh, I was thinking about something. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what did you think about his uncle? Like, he's so powerful that he's like as old as the veil, pretty much. So, what did you think about
I
him?
I thought that was interesting, and I liked his husband too.
Mhm.
And I feel like they are the balance as well. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of almost to me them showing a older version of not exactly, but the potential that Emily and Wendell have in their relationship of that balance of
Yeah.
being human and being fae. And actually, I feel like keeping that sanity because that seems what happens in fairy with the rulers is they kind of go a little insane with the power and
Yeah.
even with the story that was kind of like where that went but I think they were a good balance and I think that it was because I definitely had some reservations on like oh when they started to fight and I was like, but then
Yeah.
it was resolved pretty quickly and was like, okay, I can accept this. And he definitely doesn't seem like he wants the throne. So I wasn't worried about that. He
Yeah.
just wants to maintain and basically be in love with his partner,
Uh-huh.
and take care of their family. Or, that was my takeaway. And I just, because you saw those nuances of that balance of Emily being worried about Wendell, um, like losing that humanness in him, even though he's not human,
Yeah.
that. And I think that was also pretty much a concern that kind of played through all the books for her. And
Right.
I think this is a resolve for them to be like, well, I am that balance, I am that human piece, for him to find that balance and not go extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell that the uncle's husband, Callum, keeps him very, very, I think his
Hmm.
name is Lord Taryn, right? The
Yeah,
uncle.
Lord Turn. Hmm.
Yeah. And so Callum keeps him very, very balanced and very docile compared to what he could be doing, like just
Hmm.
destroying realms for the fun of it if he wanted
Yeah.
to. So he does keep him pretty calm. And it's nice to see that, like, even though Callum's been there for probably hundreds of years,
Hmm.
obviously, that their romance is still so strong and that they
Hmm.
both still take care of each other and they're both nice. And
Hmm.
I think that's really good for Emily to see too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if there's any parts that's like really surprised me or stuck out to me. Is there anything that, like, when you read it, you were kind of like, wow?
Oh, what is her name? Neve or Nemia?
Neve. Mhm.
Neve. Okay. Um, I thought she was an interesting character because I also thought like, oh, so this is where Wendell got his like he may have had a childhood crush on her or something. That he was like, okay, this is the ideal person, because I feel like um they had Neve and Emily had some correlations that were kind of the same. And but
Mhm.
I think Emily is a little more I don't know, maybe a little more tenacious, I guess is the word that I want to use. So it's interesting because I did think that she was a potential problem
Me
because my
too.
red flag went off, and I
Yeah.
know you text me and I was like, oh no, how do you know she's um why didn't the queen take her out? So I thought that was interesting. I was definitely taken aback when Wendell um basically died. And I don't know if we want to
Yeah.
do spoilers on that, but that's a big spoiler. But that surprised me. But I was like, okay, we're like halfway through the book, so we'll be okay. So,
Yep. Yeah.
um, and I did find it. I do like that basically. Because they basically kept going back to his brownie bloodline, and that was something
Yeah.
that was very powerful for him. And well, a powerful might not be, but stabilizing, and
Right.
also helped with his um assuming the throne completely, or like keeping the throne, or no one challenging him. And I do like that because it's basically like humble means where other people were cruel to them, but he actually elevated them to a good status where, so I did like that as well. But I'm trying to think of surprises.
Hmm. I did too. I loved that, like, that part of him keeps him just kind of like humble and
Mm-hmm.
very, very kind. And I love that it makes him so, like, when he gets really nervous, he starts cleaning things and he's like super hard scrubbing stuff. And then you can hear the trees start to like rustle more because the trees are getting agitated because the trees can
Mm-hmm.
hear his thoughts. And then
Yeah.
the second he like stops cleaning and calms down, everything settles. So that kept making me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The surprising part, which was not surprising, but it's also kind of going to that cruelty of the
Uh-huh.
Fae, is when they go to the blighted area, and basically um the uncle just throws one of the hyphae in there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, well, we need to know how this actually. And it's like,
Yes. I was like, "You
but
know
that's how
what?
they be.
That's how they really in real life, how they really be." Yeah. That was a good reminder of that. I kind of needed that reminder.
Yeah, because that was also like Emily watching Wendell with his, where he would you normally clean to get out some anger, but there was also parts where
Yeah.
his aggression was with the sword. So, which I also like when he fights his uncle, that he uses that brownie nature too of the
Mhm.
sewing the veil into the coat. Or is it the scarf? The coat.
Yeah, the
Um
cloak.
yeah,
Mhm.
so that it's all, I you see those weavings, and it's just interesting how they all go together.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that too. I loved like cuz in the real folklore, um men and women like they can do anything. The men can sew if they want to and the women
Mhm.
could do like whatever manly things, I don't know. But so it's cool that like Heather kept that in there too.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize because I hadn't read it yet in all my research. I'm still like learning a lot, but
Mhm.
in our lore, if you are getting pixie led, you do turn a piece of clothing inside out to help stop, like, kind of break that spell on you. And
Mhm.
so it was cool because, like, once I learned that the other day about like our real lore, I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah. So it was cool to like pick all that out in the books. Um, the thing that surprised me too was that um Emily went back to the Winter King to
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
get him to open the veil so she could go rescue his stepmother.
I did think that was funny,
Yeah.
like her acting.
Mhm. She's such a bad actor and but I was like, don't make promises about going back to him if something happens to
Mhm.
Wendell because then you're gonna be forced to.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that never comes if there's any
Yeah.
more books. And if this is the last one, I'm just gonna assume they have happily ever
Ever
after and
after.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that part really got me. I was like, "Don't do it, Emily." I know the
Mhm.
importance of why she did it, but still, I was surprised that his stepmom seemed like she had a change of heart.
Yeah.
It seemed like the void or the veil really messes with you. So I think
Mhm.
that I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'm like, I don't know if I actually trust
Well,
that she
they
changed,
also put
but
that seed of like, well, give it a few years or whatever where she recovers. So that's why I was
yeah.
like, that's not a completely closed book. Maybe it will be a book where they jump into the future or something, or a time lapse. But yeah,
Mhm.
that was interesting. I definitely was like, Emily, why are you crazy and going to the king? And
I know.
and yeah, and basically that he's so arrogant that he just or but that's also a way that she shows how they are different, that they
Yeah.
just like, why wouldn't she come back,
Right.
and why wouldn't what she's telling him be true, where she's just totally using him to open the veil, but it's interesting. But she did say that she would not probably survive meeting him again. Do you remember that
Right.
part? Yeah, so she is aware,
Yeah, which makes me sad she can't ever go visit Poe again.
Yeah,
Cause yeah, but still.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, he has a door. They can go,
Yeah, he can come
hopefully.
visit her.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, his mom her meeting his mom made me laugh because she was so frightened,
Yeah.
and she asked him, like, "Why are" I think she was like, "Why are her fingers so long?" or something like that, and he said that she could stab a whole seal with just her thumb. I was like,
Yeah. I
so I
thought
thought
that
that
was funny too, because she was very protective too.
yeah,
Uh,
that was cute to see that she was, like, really guarding him and actually taking it seriously. I thought that was
but
cute.
that brought me back to the first book where he was asking for the bear skin versus he had the
Oh,
crow skin,
yeah.
and so he got the skin. So it's like, obviously, and that she just keeps reminding you that they aren't human,
Yep.
where yeah, so it's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very different. And even like just the way that they talk to each other
Mhm.
and how they conduct business and everything else. And I think I would love to know more about Neve. I think I would love to see the series continue with her niece and
Mhm.
for Neve to go back to the human world like she said and to
Mhm.
publish all her findings and for maybe Neve and Ariadne to work together would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she's definitely a source of knowledge for them. And if she continues the books, that would be interesting because they focus so much on the different professors and how
Mhm.
now Emily has written the three, is it two or three books?
I think
Maybe
this is her second
second book,
book. Mhm.
but that now she is basically a name, you know. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and then that they both got excited about uh dryology to go forward with that. So they
Yeah.
definitely were nerding out and bonding over that. So that was fun
Yeah.
to see that.
Mhm. And I'm glad that she was actually helpful. Like
Mm-hmm.
she didn't just sit there and waste time or anything else like that. She did actually help. And I like that Emily's book idea changed throughout the
Mm-hmm.
series because she was first going to write it about the politics of
Mm-hmm.
fairy. And then by the end of it, she decided to go with the lost tales, where she could gather as many tales as she could to recount them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, which also kind of leaves an opening because all
Yeah,
the everything that she solves is by tells. So it's very, you know, I really enjoyed it and I definitely see potential for either a spin-off or a continuation. But I also know that sometimes authors are like, well, I don't want to continue to go down this path, so we'll see
right.
what happens. So
Yeah, yeah. I felt really pleasantly just happy with the ending of
mm-hmm.
this one. So if she didn't continue it, I'd be fine. But if she did, I think it'd be really nice.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated too seeing the representation in this one. So in like the first one, there's obviously the lesbian couple,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Emily and Wendell, and then in this one, the third one, there's the Lord Taryn and Callum,
Mm-hmm.
so the two men, and then plus Neve being blind. I
Yeah.
thought that that was really cool that she
Yeah.
included that too.
I definitely think it is an inclusive book versus being exclusive for things. Because even they didn't even their wedding was like very like last minute almost, where it's like just say yes,
Yeah,
that's
he's
it.
like,
That's that.
just
That's our
consider us married, and
ceremony.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's just like that openness versus being like we have to get it this way, we have to go with
yeah,
tradition. And I do think there is traditions are important, but there's also kind of like things that we can elevate and change, because
right.
it's not always black and white.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciated that he made her so much more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I know you don't want a big wedding. You don't want all these gaudy
Mm-hmm.
things. Like, you just want something simple and it just you
Mm-hmm.
and I. So let's just consider it done. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny. And I just started laughing because I appreciate coffee too, like Wendell, and I just was like when he gave the housekeeper a raise for
Yeah.
for the excellent coffee. Well, it
Yeah.
was more than that, but it was like after he had his cup of coffee and he was like, ah.
Yeah. He was so happy. I really want to try coffee Wendell's way. So if
Uh-huh.
Heather could come out with some like
Of recipes.
recipes, I would absolutely die for that. That would be amazing. Yeah, I loved that when they first made it back in to his kingdom, um, that he just like knocked on one of those little doors and that person like brought out or that fairy brought out some cups for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then or no, or did he break the fairy ball for some cups? I think that's what he did. I don't know. something. He ended up with cups. And
Mhm.
then he just like scooped some water out of the creek and then it turned into coffee or tea or whatever in his
Mhm.
hand. Like to have that skill, one would be so cool.
Yes.
I would always be drinking it. But like to see that their waters are so clear
Yeah.
and not full of disease that they could just drink out of it. I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool. And it does make me think of just how different their world is compared to ours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's for sure. It just other than the blight that the
Right?
ex-queen brings, it just, you know, I really actually speaking on that, I do love that his crown is just the leaves that change
Yeah.
out every, and it's just like very whimsical and cool because like I don't know, I would kind of like to be a fairy that just has some like
Me
branches or
too.
something
Yeah. That's what
that
I was
switches
thinking.
out. I just changed my leaves, and then I did think it was funny that Emily was like, "No, no, it's just going to look like a nest at some point."
Yeah.
Like no. So I thought that was cool too, but and also the simplicity and it seems like their currency is not gold where we would
Right.
have that. It was like berries and stuff when the one
Yeah.
I forgot his name
The
right now.
boggart.
Yeah, comes to demand a raise and he's like, what were you getting paid? And it's just berries, but it's like
Oh, the
it's
hairdresser
supposed
guy.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even the boggart, like when he gave them that helpful information to lure or
Mm-hmm.
help them find the queen, he just wanted a feast and a place to stay. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, easy.
Yeah. So it's just more, I don't know, practical is the word, or like I don't know, just it feels better than just having money. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah. This series is just like it's so enchanting. Everything about it. I love it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to reread it over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. I was going to reread it. Had hoped to have it done before this. I might have to pause.
Okay.
Hi, sorry, I had a little coughing fit, so I had to stop recording for a second. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. We were talking about the story being enchanting, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. Very it feels very comforting and enchanting and whimsical, and just like a lovely cozy feeling that I get when I read it.
Me too. Yeah.
So,
Oh, I think the last thing you said was we were talking about rereading it.
oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
No, it's okay.
dying.
I just remembered too.
And I forgot. Okay. So yes, I was rereading it and I didn't get everything completed by time we're doing this recording, but I definitely feel like this because it's a cozy, enchanting, feel good story that it is one that I will reread multiple times. And especially if she comes out with a new book or
Yeah.
another series
Please, Heather.
that correlate that I always reread the whole series. Like I can't just pick up the new book unless it's like super fresh. I always reread a series that I love
Mhm.
multiple times, especially if a new book comes out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is
me
that
too.
just me? So,
Yeah, I love to reread the whole thing. I mean, unless it's like if there's a series I read where the first one is just like really not great, then I will skip over that one. If
oh
especially if
yeah.
it's not like with the A Court of Thorns and Roses, I don't really care for Tamlin's book so
Okay.
much as I care for like the rest of the story. So if there's like a significant difference like that, then I can do it. But yeah, for the most part, I
I
reread
agree with
everything.
that because
Mhm.
I there are especially with those books that have individual characters and
Yeah.
like it focuses on them that I'm like, meh, I did
Yeah,
not care for
yeah.
your whiny ass. So I'm just like, well. So
Yeah.
no, I agree with that. I definitely am there
Mhm.
because there's several series that I have done that with, and I yes, this one is one that matches that.
Yeah. And this one, I almost finished. I skimmed like the last, I think I'm like 2 chapters away from finishing. So I skimmed them so I was like, "Oh, I gotta skip these so I can come talk." So I already know what happens,
Mhm.
but, yeah, I almost finished it totally. I've just read it in the last few days, so it's super fresh. So I'm still, like, riding on the high of Wendell and Emily because I just love them so
Yeah.
much. They're such good, like, well-written characters too,
Mhm.
and sometimes you don't get that, like in some series you find there's like a main male character or a female main character where their entire personality is like he's got the best blue eyes in the world and he's so
Yeah.
mean and she's like so independent and makes immature decisions and like that's it,
Mhm.
like that's as far as their personalities go. But with
Yeah.
these two I felt like I was really reading about very real people, so
Mhm.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah. Cause and they had problems, but they also didn't like cry about them. Like that I
Yeah.
always get that sounds terrible of me. They get annoyed with the characters that are like, and I don't see a solution and
Yeah.
like don't do anything or keep making mistakes. And I mean, Wendell to some degree was like, well, I killed her, so that was it. I sent her. Well, he didn't kill her, but he sent her to the veil. But it was also in anger, and like I just, it's done.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm not taking it back."
Yeah. So I do like that it had that up and down where it was like one, they were both dead, and then two, she found a solution to bring them both back, and then
Yeah, she
and then
never
it,
gave up.
yeah, and then it was like, well, Wendell was like always how he does, flies off of the handle with
Yeah.
his protection and just being angry, and made a judgment call. And then he trusted that if she was going to find a solution, she was going to find it.
Yep.
So I do like that.
Mhm.
And it was realistic in the sense that, she did what she always does is
Yep.
think it through, solve the problem, be tenacious, get help. Even though she was like, "How'd I miss that?" So,
Right. Yeah.
and he trusted her and continued to do what he does. So I do enjoyed that.
Yeah. And I really loved that, when it came to those 2, like, there's so many book series now where the main characters the main trope is miscommunication, and I cannot stand that trope. It just drives me insane. And so
Mhm.
this one to not have any of that was
Mhm.
so refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Or the whiny, I can't do anything is always like,
Yep.
it always is like there's something to do. You just need to kind of
Yeah, yeah.
step back and figure it out.
Mhm.
So
I agree.
but they're lovely. They're good, well written characters. And I was trying to think if there's any real like because with the whiny characters, sometimes there's that growth that they go through. But I feel like there was more of a um for Wendell and Emily, more of a trusting that what they have or what they know is important versus like
Yeah.
getting stuck and then trying to spin all the wheels to go somewhere that is going nowhere, or
Yeah.
go do something dumb because I don't know what else to do.
Right. Yeah.
So I do like that it was like more of them falling back onto what they know versus just trying to make something else new up.
Yeah. I liked that a lot too. And it also made me wonder because, like, and it's kind of a theory that we have even here in real life that the tales and like even Emily said the tales kind of inform the realm of fairy and fae for like what things that will happen or won't happen,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of vice versa, like they also are responsible for the tales that we record, but it's kind of like they work together. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was interested in with her writing this compendium of tales because she said like there are so many versions of the King Macon's bees or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
King Macon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she didn't know which one was like the correct one. And
Yeah.
how like things can change over time the more that people add to it or write about it or whatever. So I'm curious if like her writing kind of that book, Emily's writing her third book or second book, um, if she's going to be able to kind of change the way that fairy works by writing certain stories. I think that would be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because in a way, well, wouldn't you say like her writing, and especially writing from fairy, is her becoming part of the lore,
Right? Yeah.
and becoming part of it, which I was starting to think when you were saying that, you know, even in our folklore, there's folklores that are all very similar tales that are archetypal, that
Yeah.
is for us, for our growth and our knowledge, and not to do dumb shit,
Yeah.
to learn from and continue. So I definitely feel like that is like a elevation or evolution for them,
Yeah.
and that balance of, or even going back to them needing us and us needing them, with
Right.
that balance.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think so too. And it's even something that a lot of people in like the fairy faith community here say is that
Mm-hmm.
we need the balance of like everybody working together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could totally see that.
Oh,
And
I
that
definitely.
was about like I mean really what each of the three books were about, honestly, like just balance here, 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 here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even Emily and Wendell's perfect balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even like our nature balance, I
Yeah.
did. I could probably get on a soapbox now about, taking care of nature versus just taking, and I feel like that's what we as humans are going to have to learn, is that balance between nature and, taking and receiving resources, but not taking too much.
Yeah.
And I think that we are in that, with our global warming, our situations, even I would even say with each other. Well, I won't get political, but I would just
Right.
say, it's just like I feel like we are in a um a culture that is always reaching versus being nurturing,
Yeah.
and I think there has to be a switch for that.
I agree. Yeah. And even this series showed that because I mean Wendell's really kind of the first nurturing king who
Mm-hmm.
like goes to acknowledge the lesser fae and tries to take care of them, and he's trying to take care of the plants and like revitalize the entire kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most
Mm-hmm.
nurturing king that they had, and it goes to show how important that is. Yeah.
Well, it's also like how he raises up the brownies, with
Yeah.
the in Hashi, which I think is the, but that also made me think of Dobby from Harry Potter, where it's
Yeah.
like all the house elves are like basically servants, or not even servants, they're slaves.
Yeah.
And because even that is brought up where they say like the queen probably didn't even look at them. She
Yeah.
had a royal hairdresser and it was a brownie, and it just like, that's sad because these are important people, and
Yeah.
now I feel like I'm just like, this is what's happening in our world.
I mean, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a reflection for sure
Hmm.
of everything going on. Not that she did it purposefully,
No,
Heather,
no, no, but
but most
I
book series are. Yeah,
yeah, I enjoy seeing that,
me
being
too.
able to see that in our world, like where I'm like, okay, I can see this because it is what is reality right now.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's why it always bugs me when people say like reading isn't political, and I'm like, it absolutely is.
Mhm.
Do you see the characters in the
Mhm.
books?
Yeah. I mean, it's art.
Yeah.
Art is political too,
Mm-hmm.
in any way. It is what progresses our society, and
Yeah.
in a culture that is open, it allows for ideas to flourish versus being, I don't agree with banned books, even,
Yeah.
I just don't. I think knowledge is, our history is important because that's how we learn and move forward. And um Sorry, I feel like I'm getting on a soapbox.
No,
So.
you're good. I'm enjoying it. I'm listening attentively.
But it's just like, it is a reflection. It is a reflection, and that,
Yeah.
our stories, our art, they they speak of our societies. So,
Yeah. Totally agree with that. Absolutely do. Mhm. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else. I
well, I
know I
had
just read it, but I can't remember.
yeah, I also, not to get too woo, but I know it's a Pisces full moon, so I do feel like dreaming.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, that's true. I
that
didn't even
that
think about that.
but I was going to ask you. So
Huh?
this is off the subject of Emily and Wendell, but
Yeah.
more along the lines of what other fairy tale books do you like, or folklore like books have you enjoyed? Just to give
Uh
other people, titles.
yeah, some other ones. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh let me open my Kindle. I'm so sorry. I have so many. Ugh, there was a really good one. If anybody's interested in learning about like real lore, like you want to read nonfiction
Mm-hmm.
books, Morgan Daimler is the best resource to go to because Morgan takes research very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even to the point that they have gone so far as to learn Old Irish to be able to
Oh,
correctly
Gaelic, uh-huh.
translate things. So I would say that's a great place to go for nonfiction. And they do write a fiction series and incorporate some of the lore too. And I have the first book. I haven't gotten into it yet. Like I haven't read it yet. But that is out there for regular fiction. And then gosh, I want to say there was a series that I'm trying to think of, but I can't. Do you have any in mind that you
Well, what I thought of, so I don't know if you've read any Patricia Briggs books,
No.
but so then the Mercy Thompson, she has the Mercy Thompson is probably the most, and then there's a spinoff of the Omega series. So it's like a werewolf book. It's um fictional, but it is it's interesting because she has the Fae in there as one of the characters, and she actually is she's Coyote's daughter. So
Mhm.
Coyote and she's married to a werewolf, and it's just interesting because there are Fae in there. So I do like that because she also talks about a lot about lore and King Arthur and stuff like that. So usually
Yeah.
it's some sort of mystery or something she needs to solve, or she's in some sort of trouble that the werewolf pack is in some sort of trouble that needs to be fixed. So I do like that.
Mhm.
There is the Laurel K. Hamilton books,
Oh
the
yeah.
Meredith Gentry books, though the series has not finished, so just warning,
Yeah.
warning, it has not been picked up again for a while. But
Yeah.
I do like her books. And then I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but
Yeah. I read a
those were
lot
the
of
two.
standalones.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I'll read the first book of like a 3 book series and like I liked it, but I don't really buy the second and third one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where like I've read so many standalone ones. Gosh, I'm like scrolling as fast as I can through
No, no,
this.
you're good.
But I love any fantasy like vampires and werewolves
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Oh, me
fairies.
too. Yeah.
hmm I love all of it.
I haven't read too many fairy books, so that's why I was curious because I did really enjoy the Marriage Gentry books by Laura K. Hamilton.
Yeah.
I do like those. There is some smut in there, just so you know, a warning, I guess. Or
If you want some smut,
yeah.
you're gonna enjoy those books. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, I can't even like I'm just like looking through them and I can't even tell what's fairies and
What's
what's
what?
not.
Yeah, I know because it's like how my oh my goodness, if I could have a library, I would have you know. But I looked at my Audible because I also pick up books from the Libby app.
Yeah.
Um but my Audible has like 500 books, 500 plus books in there that I'm
Mine
like, how
too.
do I do this?
My Yeah, my Kindle has so many.
Yeah.
Oh look, I can filter by red. That'll help. Um okay, it looks like I do have one that I read. This one's called The King of the Fae. It's an enemies to lovers book, and it is by where's where's the cover? Um Ava Mason.
Hmm.
So I've read that one. If I've read it all the way, that means that I found it
It was
worthy
good.
of like putting the time in. Yeah, because I will DNF books pretty quick.
Hmm.
Um, except for this one that I tried to give an earnest chance. And it's called How Does It Feel? And that one had a plot twist that just made me so angry because I don't like to be lied to, and I don't like for an entire series, like an entire book, to be a lie pretty much.
Hmm.
And so the plot twist in that one like just destroyed me, and I was like, I can't. I've
Yeah.
DNF'd it at like 96%.
Yeah.
And I won't read the rest of the series, um but I've heard a lot of people like that one. So that's another good one.
Yeah.
Obviously, A Court of Thorns and Roses. A lot of people really like that one. I
I
know a lot
haven't.
of people like Quicksilver. I'm not really into it. I'm about
Hmm.
halfway through, and I kind of gave it back to Kindle. So, mhm.
Oh, okay. I haven't read those ones, but I did briefly remember actually. There was an interesting one that I read, but the character was a little whiny, so it was hard for me to get through
Right,
it. Or it was more like she just kept doing like she knew it was wrong, but she continued to do it. And I understand like there's character growth or but I really was just like, but why though? So
right, yeah, mhm,
um I'll have to look for that one. I forgot what that one was, but that
yeah,
one was like dark fae, dark fae human romance. Oh, it is by Sylvia Mercedes, and
mhm.
I'm gonna click on these title details real quick and see. It is the Bride of the Shadow King series, and the first book is the Bride of the Shadow King.
Okay, yeah,
I think it was free at some point on my Audible that I read it, and it was interesting, but they kept doing dumbassery. So that that I like every time I was like, I'm almost going to stop this book because I can't.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah. I do that too, especially like if the if if the main character is like supposed to be older, like 25 to 35 or whatever in that range, and they're making decisions like they're 16,
hmm.
can't do it. That's the
Yeah.
quickest way that I'll like just back out of a book.
Yeah. What the other thing is where they have a solution, but they refuse to do it, or they don't want to
Yeah.
see it, and then it's like a long struggle, and then
Yeah.
they finally are like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it now," and then then it's like, "Okay, why don't you do that from the beginning?" That I just
That's my
wasted
spirit guides talking to me right now.
2 hours of my life. I mean, I get it because I do that too to some degree, but there's only so many cycles of crying that I can handle that I'm just like, okay, now
Yeah.
I just gotta just like bite the bullet and do it because I just keep doing the same shit. So
Yeah, me too. I know. Yeah. Those do bug me. Yeah. I'm pretty picky now that I realize it. I'm like, yeah, actually I'm kind of picky with my books. And it's hard because with like the fairies, I feel like so many books are the same. And I get that a lot with the werewolf books. Like
hmm,
so many of them are this werewolf is the alpha. He's he
badass and blah
yeah,
blah blah. Yeah.
super cool. He can beat anybody.
Hmm.
And then like he gets to mate with either a human or like a weaker wolf who
Hmm.
was an outcast. And
Hmm.
then it turns out that she's actually is like super powerful,
Yeah.
and so those kind of bug me because it's just like carbon copy and
Mhm.
paste.
Mhm.
um and then the fairy books where they are like the main character is either human or like a lesser fairy, and is surprisingly like really powerful and just comes into these brand new powers all of a sudden. Those
Mhm.
kind of really bug me too because I'm like, God, could we get some original
Yeah.
characters in here?
I did like that about the Emily and Emily books because he was like a window. I thought you may have had fairy blood in you, but nope, not an ounce. So, and then she just continued to be her, you know. So
Yeah,
I do like that. Like it's just like she came in with her own superpower of being herself, you know, and
yeah,
that was her and her tenacity and her ability to get herself in and out of trouble, you know.
yep.
So I do appreciate that because I know it kind of sets you up though where you're like, should I be a badass at any turn? You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I agree. Yeah, I love that. I love when characters like survive by using their smarts.
mhm.
Like, hell yeah, we need more of that. Give
Yeah.
us more encouragement to read and learn and do all we can. Yeah.
And also to go back to what you know,
Yeah,
where
uh-huh.
I feel like we also I don't know. I feel like we also look a lot for external validation or the answer outside, but it's like when we are both spiritual people and developing and living in the life of woo. So it's just like you are your answers too. You know you
Yep.
have, and it's always a when our spirit guides give us that where it's like you already have the answer. When
Yeah.
I become the crybaby whiny main character. I have asked myself that a few times. I'm like, am I being the crybaby whiny character right now where I'm like I'm supposed to grow and I'm just like putting the brakes on and crying and throwing a tantrum.
Right. Yeah, I've been, I really appreciated that, like, throughout the all 3 books, you
Mhm.
get to see Emily really struggle with that, like, she knows what she knows, and she knows when she feels right or wrong about something, and so she really trusts it a lot of the times, and it's
Mhm.
the times where she doesn't, and she's trying to give other people the benefit of the doubt and, like, let
Mhm.
them kind of make decisions and stuff, that's when things go wrong, and she's like, "Damn it, we shoulda just gone with what I knew I should have done." So that's really, I really enjoyed that throughout the whole series too. As a reminder to sometimes it's okay to use your smarts and to just go with
Mhm.
what you know. Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is a very feel good, uplifting series that has some very touching moments, especially with their romance or their relationship, and also some dark moments. Because that I would also say that I don't always like the books that have the dominating male in there,
Yeah.
where it's just like that's not a healthy look.
Yeah.
And Wendell does fly off the handle sometimes, but it's like he comes back to himself, and it's like when he started ripping into Fairy or just opening the veil and throwing his stepmother, I almost said mother-in-law, stepmother in, where it's like, he comes down off of that and was like, okay, well, I'll live with that decision because that's what I did. But it's not like completely oppressive because that's kind of sometimes when I read those books, that's kind of what it feels like. And it wasn't
Right.
like that because he also let Emily leave, whereas in other books, there might have been a domination of you can't leave, so
Yep.
because she did immediately leave as well after, like, I need to find a solution, and then
Yeah.
he was like, well, I trust you. If there is a solution to be found, you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he really respected like when she said, "Don't follow me because
Hmm.
I just need peace and to be alone." And he respected that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So
thought it was so funny. Like he forgot to match the time back up to her
mhm.
to her being in Earth. So multiple days had passed when it just was like 10 minutes of her like going through the door to get to the cottage. And so he had written letter after letter after letter after letter.
Mhm.
And she had all these letters to come back to. And she was like, this preposterous man. Yeah. So
Yeah,
funny.
it's cute.
Hmm.
But also in a healthy kind of way,
Yeah.
that I guess that's my point.
Hmm. Yeah. That's what I appreciate about it too. I like it a
Yeah.
lot. So hopefully other people listen to us and like see how much we love it and so they go read it
Yeah.
and get to enjoy it for themselves.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. The next book we want to talk about in our recordings are The Discovery of Witches.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. So, how's that coming along?
Good. I'm on the second one.
Okay.
I repicked it back up and I had to actually like go back all the way to the beginning because I couldn't remember certain details. And
Mm-hmm.
then so once I did, I was like, oh yeah. So I'm about halfway through now. So I got to finish the second one and then I'll read the third one. I don't,
Yeah.
we'll see if I have time to get a hold of the other two. Because it's like a multi-month wait
Well, they're
from my
also
library.
like pretty substantial books, so
Okay, yeah.
we might have to break up our recordings on
That's
that.
true. Yeah, it
Yeah.
might not matter. Yeah. I might get
Yeah.
to it in time for a couple recordings from now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I enjoyed the Discovery of Witches. That one was actually one that I listened to way back when it came out, and then I know they did the HBO series on it.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then that made me want to re-listen to it, and so I reread it, and then I found out that they had two other books, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah. You
And
missed
then
a whole bit.
I yeah, but that's what happens sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I first found that series by watching the show.
Mhm.
And then so when I was watching the first season, I enjoyed it so much that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch the
Mhm.
rest. I'm gonna go read the books first. So
Mhm.
yeah, I need to finish reading these so I can finally watch the show. But it's nice because it's like I picture the main characters as the people in the show. So it is nice for me to kind of have that little like visual
Yeah.
aspect. But mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were good picks for. The only one I don't like is Philippe because I think in the books he has curly hair and is huge. And I think the actor, I mean, I don't think it's a bad choice. I just think that
Yeah,
physically how she described him is not what he looks like in the book. So,
right.
or vice versa. What he looks like, I didn't picture him in the book, but then maybe that was me.
Uh,
So,
Yeah, yeah. The guy in the show, I think I've seen pictures of him. He's not as frightening
hmm
as he comes off in the book.
hmm
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think in the book he is tall, curly hair, and I think his manner is more like not that he tries to frighten you, but you just feel his vibe and it's intimidating, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of hard to play off because I think he's also very tall too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm so
Okay.
excited for that one. So
Yeah.
we'll see when we get to record it and
Yeah.
put it out because I'm excited to like get your thoughts on more of it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that book too.
That's true. Mhm. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that these are even more busy than the Emily books. I think I kind of liked that about the Emily books too, is like there was a firm plot and enough that it was really interesting, but not too much. And
Mhm.
then, but with the Discovery of Witches, there's like so many moving pieces and characters,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you can lose track of it a little bit easier.
Yeah, because think that's also why Emily's books are cozy because it's like
Yeah.
they are thought provoking, but it's also kind of like it's a warm and fuzzies, and you just move through the plot and
Uh-huh.
find the solution. Versus having so many. I mean, they're well written, but so many plot lines and so much happening where it's like it's just this is a good escape book, does that make
Yep.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Versus
agree.
trying to count on your hands, like what is happening
Yes.
and what is going to happen. So I definitely didn't see the outcome for Emily, so it's not like something that you see like not because I feel like saying cozy makes it sound simple. It's not simple like that
Yeah,
because it's definitely something where you have to um follow the plot and the story to actually understand the solution.
right.
So I do enjoy that too. Like it's not something I guessed immediately what was going to happen, or
Yeah,
it's not a who done it, kind of where you.
right. Yeah.
Uh
I was completely wrong about my guesses several
oh no,
times, which was nice.
my radar went off for Callum
Yeah.
and Nemia or Neve. I keep wanting to call her something else. Because I was like, oh no, don't trust that lady. I don't care if
Yeah.
she's blind.
And then I
That's so mean.
trusted the Lady of the Wind because Wendell was like, "Oh, I've known her since I was little." And I don't
Yeah.
know, she seemed friendly. And then to find out that she was not a good character, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because oh yeah, because the grandfather and stuff like that. So that was interesting too, because that was also how they brought that in,
Uh-huh.
with going back um to Ireland and seeing her niece and I want to call him Pharaoh, but I think that's wrong. Paris, right?
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, why is my brain not working right now? um, but yeah, I definitely I think I've said it multiple times. I enjoyed the book. It was very good and very much worth the read and to just be able to get away with uh get into that world and take a break from ours. So,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I like that. I feel like this one was really easy to slip into because there's so much that's like still very much like real life. It wasn't
mhm.
so fantastical that you couldn't imagine actually being in these places. And she did really, really good descriptions too.
Mhm.
So I liked that.
Yeah. And a little bit of darkness mixed in. So,
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, by the end.
always good. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. But I'm excited to do the next one. So
Yeah.
we'll see when we get to record that one.
Yeah.
And we will for sure record it on the Discovery, which is we were talking like I know we had planned to do touch on this
Half and
book
half. Yeah.
and yeah, but then Elaine was like, "Well, why don't we just talk about this one book?" And I was like, "You know what? We probably would spend the whole hour talking about this one book." So,
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll split them up and make it easier because I also feel like we kind of went into different things with talking about this book too, which I liked. I don't know. Hopefully everyone likes it. You guys can leave a comment or let us
yeah,
know if we're
yeah,
rambling too much, I guess. I don't know.
we'll keep
But
adjusting as we go and
yeah.
figure some process out that works for everybody.
I don't know. I'm having fun. So I
Hmm.
think that's also um well, that's a reoccurring message for me is to enjoy a
Yeah.
little bit more and just have fun. So I think that is for a little bit of all of us.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Definitely feels like book club, and to me, that's what makes it so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah,
So
we will see everybody on the next one.
yeah, keep reading and enjoy. I'll see you guys. Thank you.